Now, we over here at the Respect My Region pre-party. It's Profit, Money Brands with the homie Magic. This is how we do it, man.
Welcome to day one of Hall of Flowers, the best business-to-business trade show in the game. Come over and vibe with us. Check out all the new brands, all the extra stuff that we got going on, the new innovations, and watch this profit takeover, baby. Let's go. Welcome everybody to the exclusive Hall of Flowers edition of Joint Forces. With me today, I have a very, very special guest, an exclusive geneticist, a pheno hunter, globe-trotting pheno hunter, Kevin Jodrey. Man, it's an honor. It's a pleasure to have you, man. Fellow outlaw, somebody who I feel like me and my generations really stood on the shoulders of you and your peers and the people around you, man. So it's an honor to sit with you here, man. I watch you and see all the awesome stuff that you do, man. So welcome to the show, brother.
Man, thank you so much. It's a privilege, and nothing but salute to you too, man. I love what you're doing, and I love how you bring in attention to issues that need to be brought, and you're doing it in a really elegant way, and
Thank
I'm
you,
about
man.
it.
Appreciate that. Yeah. So speaking of globetrotting, you're fresh off of a trip to Pakistan.
Yeah, last season.
Last season. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the experience. You land in Pakistan. We were talking earlier. You said there's two things they hand you in Pakistan when you land. What is it?
Oh, when we landed in Pakistan, I said, "You got any weed?" And they were like, "Yeah, we got you set up." And I said, "Nice. What do you got?" And they said, "We got a half a key of hash, and we got you a pound and a half of weed." And I was just like, "Wow." I've never had anybody give me 5 100-gram sacks of hash, and one of them come right out of a pair of goat's balls, right? And
yeah. Did you say goat balls?
Goat balls, right? So they, because humans have used animal pelts as their source of storage forever, right?
For sure.
So the balls aren't like fresh balls, but they're a set of
old balls.
They're old balls, right? Old salty balls. And so they're this little goat bag of balls. And that's what the hash was aged in. And what it does is it creates this anaerobic bacterial condition that has an effect on the way the profile develops.
Wow.
And the good parallel for it is in Africa, where they cob things up, where they wrap them into a type of leaf and then they age it.
Right.
And it breaks it down and it changes it, but in a way that's really positive for the people.
Right.
And what we got out of it was just some crazy flavor profiles. I'm not used to having hash, traditional hash, dry sift, beat pressed.
Right.
That has so many subtle floral and fruit notes.
Wow.
It was really, really different.
Man, you're making my mouth water.
It was good, man. You want it. It's like the dream in herb would be all the places in the world that produce really good quality shit.
Right.
We all get to have that global marketplace.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And just hearing that process and like the rarity, like just the exclusivity of that type of flavor profile. You're not going to find anything like that on any kind of rec market anywhere, and just anywhere in the States, period.
No, you know what was interesting too, right? Is that what we noticed? I remember I grew up so I'm old, right? So I grew up smoking all these imports in the 70s.
Right.
And a lot of people, they smoked in the 70s, but I was around like large traffickers. So I got exposed to like really high level products. So I got to see what really kick ass black hash was like. And you smoke it, and you think when you go, you go to another country, you're going to go blaze it, you're going to get the experience. But what you noticed was, as a kid, when you smoked the black hash, everyone in the car enjoyed smoking it.
Right.
I didn't have an understanding of herb that well then, because I was a kid.
Right.
I didn't really catch the idea of, we talk about now whole plant.
Right.
That shit's whole crop.
Right.
And so it's cannabinoids and all the other metabolites from an entire field. And so what we noticed is all of us that was smoking, we all found like joy in the consumption.
Right.
Where if I broke out a bag of grass and we all smoked right now, a couple of us would love it, a couple of us wouldn't like it, and maybe one or two in the middle. But we all liked it. And it was because there was no skewing of the profiles, because all cannabinoids present, all metabolites present.
Wow.
So it was trippy. It was really, really an education on like how you get a product to work for very many people.
Mass appeal.
Yeah, mass appeal.
Wow.
It was the totality of the cannabinoids.
Right, something
and
that hit
metabolites.
the entire endocannabinoid system of everybody.
Yes, because whatever triggered me was there. Whatever triggered my partner was there.
Wow.
Because remember we had a month to talk about it, right? So we're
geeking out right now, but that's really interesting.
It was fascinating. It let me, and now that I have enough understanding of like what I'm looking at, and you said earlier, a geneticist. I'm not a geneticist, but I'm a genetic freak.
Right.
And
I mean, I'd argue with that.
But I get to work with some brilliant fucking people, and they're able to help you understand the endocannabinoid system and the bioreactor that cannabis is. Right. It's this unbelievably complex bioreactor, and so this totality of these compounds, we barely understand them, but we kind of skew them to fit COAs because they're attractive.
Right.
And we lose people in the process, but they have it to where the product just works, period.
Right. Speaking of losing like things, right? Is part of your motivation going back to like some of these, legendary places in the Kush Mountains and stuff to bring back some of those old landrace strands, because you really can't find those like in pure form anymore in the States?
Both. It's a two-part reason. A lot of it is that what we've done in the United States specifically is we kind of walled off our world from the rest of the world and how we see things. And what it does is it diminishes the creativity and the acceptance, right? So creativity, you don't have enough tools to use to make something.
Right.
And you don't have enough appreciation for other things to be able to be inspired.
Right.
And so for me, herb is this totality. It's this global global product, but it's a global culture.
Right.
And so when I get to go to these other places, the reason really why I'm going there is because the people that are there are asking me to go. They're bringing me there to bring forward like their story.
Okay.
And the genes of the way we're going to transmit it through the public. And so I just help them by either assisting, and I do this in a bunch of places. It's just really to bring attention to a process, a people, a culture, a region, and a history, so that the people that are of today, they get a chance to see it and understand that it's not a competition that we were better or worse than you or now. It's not about that. It's about the totality of a picture that's been under criminal prosecution for so long that the whole history was wiped out. I didn't really understand history till my girlfriend said, men wrote it because it's not called her story.
Ooh.
Right? And I started dying, and I was like maybe 20. I was like in my early 20s, and I started laughing because I realized that's right. The victor writes the story. And the problem is that our story of cannabis isn't being told right.
Right. Kev, you said one of the motivations of going there is to be able to kind of tell the story of where you're going, of the people through the genetics and through these land race finds that you're doing. At Profit, we say the story is everything, right? Because that's what that's what connects all of us, right? It's the story. Before there was mics and these cameras and all this stuff, the connection to all of our people used to be through the story and through the word of how we would come to connect. So how important is it to you, and like, or do you feel the burden of like when they call you over there to like, wow, like I got to tell the story of this spot that's been around for thousands of years. Like, how do I tell this? Like, how do I do it justice?
Well, your story, especially like in your case, it's like your ethos, it's your morals, your ethics, and you're saying that this is what motivates me to do what I do, and this is why I do it. And because it's not fabricated, it's kind of like the world of AI, right? I love reading everybody's become an AI author all of a sudden.
Right.
And I laugh because I study the shit out of it so I can pick it up. And I'm just like, you're not right, any of that. And the thing is that that's not real, but real is real and real is felt. Right. And so when you you put a brand out and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do, then you deliver.
Right.
And then when they meet the people behind the brand, they're real.
Right.
That's genuine. And so anybody can help tell your story because there is a story and there's a real product and there's a truth to it. And that's how I look at every place that I travel to, is that it's not an agenda other than I'm just going to try hard to transfer to people my emotions, meaning like, what am I feeling?
No, I see. Yeah, you know? Absolutely. Because they remember that.
Yeah, that's
they
all
remember
you
that.
remember.
Right.
That's all you remember.
Not what we're saying, just how they felt.
How they felt in your presence and what did you receive. And when people are gracious and kind and you respond in kind, holy shit, you know, it's a universality.
You did the documentary with Berner, Weed and Wine.
Yeah.
And it documented a family in southern France.
The Rhone Valley.
The Rhone Valley. And then your family in Humboldt County. Tell me a little bit about that. I know we won't. I know that. Tell me a little bit about it.
It was fascinating. The director is an Emmy-nominated director out of Harvard. So Rebecca Cohen's razor sharp, and she wanted to tell a story about the parallels between cannabis and wine. And so she came up to Humboldt County, and I was introduced to her as like a liaison so that I could help her find talent and look at stories.
Right.
And coincidentally, they shot some footage of my son and I hanging out. And when they went back to New York, they said, let's make the movie that direction.
Nice.
And it was going to be about the industry of wine and weed. But what the director saw and what Berner was able to support was the story of generational change, where their family had been involved in grape for, I want to say 3-4 centuries.
Wow.
Same location.
Centuries?
Centuries at the same place. And to me, that was like amazing. And then there's us, and it's me trying to figure out how do I move my world into my son's world so that it's just there for him because it's part of me.
Right.
And it's that struggle and that transferal, and they capture the French going through climate change, which is wreaking havoc, and they capture us going through the change in the industry where the industry got decimated.
Right.
So like Humboldt used to have 15,000 farms. Now we have 270 farms.
Wow.
So when you go from 15,000 to 270, it's a problem.
Tragic.
And it captured that. And it was heavy to watch it because like you're living it in real time and they're filming it, but you go 7 years in the future and look back at it and you're just like, whoa.
Are you going to come back to the SAC anytime soon?
No, but we'll figure it out.
Let's do it.
We'll figure it out. So I'd love to chat with you because I think, like, I know who you are before we met, right?
Right.
And
likewise.
I just respect the fuck out of what you're doing. And the public, if they don't understand what took place, they won't understand what's going to take place. Right. It's a series of patterns. And if you take a look at what's taking place right now, the recriminalization's taking place. Yep. Florida, if you're messing with THCA in Florida, Texas, they're looking at felonies again. Like, whoa. So the stories of struggle have to be told.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
And because the struggle that's the back end of it right now. It's the success. And I'm proud of you. You're doing great.
Like you said, the fall down and the build back up.
And the come back up is what people need.
Appreciate you coming on. You got a talk track here at Hall of Flowers coming up. Where can people tap in with you at?
Kevin Jodrey. Just Google me up. I use my name on everything.
Okay, Kevin Jodrey, at Kevin Jodrey on all
Kevin
the social
Jodrey,
media.
all social media. And then sometimes I do Ganjier Zero because I was the original Ganjier.
Right.
And then when we merged and formed the Ganjier, my son came up with the name Ganjier.
Nice.
And I said, now that I'm not like the Ganjier, what am I? He goes, Ganjier Zero.
Yeah, I love that.
Young kids, man.
Well, thank you, everybody. And tune in. Make sure you hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
Marshawn Lynch just got some of that profit.
Yeah, Marshawn gonna be blowing on that profit. Beast mode gets to smoke the beastest weed that he's ever gonna see, at least today anyway.
So we can't give all of our weed away on the first day though.
I know that sucks though. They said that it was very high demand.
Welcome, everybody, to another show of Joint Forces, the special Hall of Flowers edition. With me, I have a very, very exclusive and special guest, Ted Lidie of AlienLabs.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me, bro.
Man, I've been watching you. Like, I watched you grow, like, come onto the scene from prison, take over with just some brilliant genetics and growing styles. Like, I come from a growing background. My dad, who's pacing back over and forth,
I love that.
He was growing some of my first plants I saw back in the day, man.
I love that.
In a shed in Modesto.
Nah, Modesto, that's where you're from?
Yeah.
Man, Modesto's cool. We got a grow in Merced, so it's right over there.
Do you?
Yeah.
Right on.
That's our best grow, I think.
Shout out to
our newest one, I should say.
Right. So I'll back up a little bit. You were born and raised in Reading, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is, I mean, a lot further north than we are right now.
Yeah. It's fucking super far north. It's like basically, Oregon. It's like an hour and a half from the Oregon border. But it's different up there. That's different. Where it's a huge cannabis hub, and the main reason that I think is that, to go into Humboldt, you can really take like two highways, like 36 or 299. And the farmers, you couldn't really drive that. Like if you were just a guy wanting to buy packs, like that was such a hot route that you couldn't really drive it.
The gauntlet, we used to call it.
Yeah. So the farmers would come to Reading, which is like the first, moderately sized town with access to like all the main freeways.
Right. Going up to 5 usually.
5, yeah. So they would come to Reading, they'd get a hotel and they would just chill there and sell their weed. And then that was how all that information got, but earlier in the game. Now people kind of tend to keep their shit a little closer to the chest, but as far as grow tech and genetics and all those things, no one really wants to share unless you're close homies. But back then everyone would share, so everyone would share grow tech. They would share what worked for them, the strains, everything, and just became like a really hotbed. You got a bunch of cool brands from out there, Ember Valley, Golden State.
Shout out Ember Valley.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So it's awesome up there. I love it.
So when did you start growing? What was your first introduction into the grow scene?
Well, really, in my closet, I put a couple of single strip LEDs, and I had some seeds that I
that's my
found
first
in
grow too in my closet.
Yeah. I didn't finish it, and my mom
got
was
it.
cool with it. My mom was I don't know if my mom was cool with it or she didn't really know or what, but she never said anything. So
okay.
We didn't flower those out. I didn't know anything like that yet.
Right.
And then I moved to San Francisco shortly after I graduated high school, and me and my boys set up a shop in his closet at his apartment with just a couple 600-watt HPSs, and then we got clones from Blue Sky Cafe, which is the Oaksterdam nursery.
Right. Hell
we
yeah.
got Quarkle and Green Crack, and that was the first time I ever
Damn, I heard those names in hell long.
I know, right? Indoor flower to completion that we smoked. That was the first time. And then I moved to SAC after that, and I set up in my back room. And in this time, like all my friends from Reading are growing already, you know, outdoor. My family grew outdoor, and that's how I really got introduced to weed in general, and selling it was through the outdoor when I was in high school. But then when I finally moved back to Reading, you know, all my homies were growing, and I got a job trimming, and I saved up enough money to fucking build the 6-lighter that, you know, the first AlienLabs batches were grown out of.
So the first AlienLabs starts off on 6 lights.
Yeah.
So from 6 lights, where are you guys at now? What were your guys' numbers?
So many. I don't even know, 4,000 or something.
Wow.
Like I don't know. It's not exact, but like we have around 2,000, probably all in here in California. In Arizona, we have like 760 or around there.
That's impressive, bro.
Yeah, and then in Florida, we have a bunch too. It's different kind of partnership. So
that's inspiring to like young growers out there and just young entrepreneurs that like want to come up from nothing, really, man.
Oh yeah, man. I hope if I do nothing else, I've inspired, and I know I have. So that I love. Oh,
you have for sure, brother.
I inspired the next generation to get up and do shit, because I'm from Reading. Like most people don't. AlienLabs is, you know, worldwide renowned, and most people don't start things like that from a small town. You know, that's like you start something in LA, and it's easy to get, you know, to the right people. And but from Reading to just do it, my family was poor as fuck. Like that was pretty cool.
No, that's huge. It's the same thing with me out of Modesto. Like people don't make it out of Modesto.
Yeah, exactly, man.
So when you see that, it's super inspiring. And then people say, hey, like if he can do it, if Ted can do it, I can do it too.
That's right. Many people have said that same thing to me, you know, like that's fucking, dope, and I feel the same way, man. I wasn't meant to do shit, you know, so like being able to do it is just proof that anyone can.
Right. So you got the TED Talks coming up on Hall of Flowers. Are you looking forward to that? What's that been like for you? You've been really rolling that circuit for a few months now, right?
Yeah, we started in June, and man, it's just exploded in popularity. Like so many people asked me to do it. We've had some really cool guests lined up. Yesterday, I did one with Thomas from Dope as Usual podcast. He's a really cool content
funny
creator, hella funny. Today I'm doing it with Wendy Baker from Space Gems. She's super cool, legacy operator.
Shout out Wendy.
Humboldt. We love Wendy for sure. Yeah. And yeah, man, it's been cool. It's been we've had worldwide interest. People are like, "Hey, come do one in Thailand with Germany." Like, so it's sick. Cool. Yeah, for sure. We're gonna start rolling them out again here probably in June, or actually May 15th is the next one with Roger from Puffco,
right?
Which will be a really sick one. And then we have some cool guests lined up after that.
Fuck yeah. Well, man, where can people tap in with you, Ted, if they want to tap in on any Instagram, socials, YouTube?
Twitter. We're on Twitter. My handle is AlienLabs Ted. We are on Instagram, Return of the Alien, and then I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't really check that shit, you know. But
I got killed on LinkedIn. They murdered me, and now it's just an remembrance thing. I can't even get on. Yeah, it's crazy. It's super
crazy,
spooky,
bro. That's crazy. But yeah, LinkedIn's cool. I mean, I think there's a place for it. You know, I've shifted my content strategy. I'm like, okay, like super educational shit does really well on LinkedIn, so I'm gonna run it there, you know. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Cool. Well, man, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it, brother. Good luck in all your ventures. I'm a huge fan of everything you got going on.
I think same shit with you, man. We need to free the fucking prisoners, you know. So it's inspiring that you're out fucking preaching and telling people about you know, everything you got going on, and just love to see it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
After day one, we went over to the After Flowers party hosted by Canna Management and my bro Capri. It was super poppin', line wrapped around the building, and we walked in ultra VIP, courtesy of my cousin Bert and the PCF family. Yeah!
Yeah, you know, Profit Brands in the house, after party, pre-parties, over parties, all the parties. Ha!
Good morning, Hall of Flowers. This is day 2, and we're coming at you live today, right here with Joint Forces with Luke Scarmazzo. Stay tuned. exciting, gentlemen. Our very first person up is Mike Magix Ewan, rose to fame as a cast member of the VH1 cartel crew. Growing up in poverty, he turned to the streets at 15 to support his family. After signing with Universal Music Group, his career was interrupted by a federal indictment linked to a Mexican cartel, resulting in 4 years in a federal prison sentence. Our next guest on the stage is our Corvain Cooper, one of the co-founders of 40 Tons. Through his work at 40 Tons, he advocates for equality, equity, second chances, and systemic change by continuing to share his story and inspire action and empower those impacted in the war on drugs. Thank you, Corvain. Our next guest, please welcome to the stage Quante Bosco Adams out of Compton, California. You guys, Quante was sentenced to 35 years in the federal prison system for attempting to possess marijuana. Upon learning that he had a child on the way, he miraculously escaped from prison, folks. Yes, escaped, okay? All right, he is also the vice president and executive director for ICANN Youth Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to serve underserved youth through mentorship and sports. And he is also the founder and president of Chasen Freedom Foundation, whose mission is to help kids in at-risk populations and help free individuals from incarceration for nonviolent drug offenses. Thank you so much, Quante. Welcome. Please welcome to the stage co-founder of Profit Brands, Luke Scarmazzo, an entrepreneur and advocate for drug policy reform, who served nearly 15 years in the federal prison system for running one of California's very first medical cannabis dispensaries out of the city of Modesto. Since his release, Luke has continued to speak out on the need for cannabis and criminal justice reform on the platform of Profit Brands and also his podcast, Joint Forces. Please welcome all of these outstanding men to the stage, you guys. There is a combined total of 54 years of federal prison sentences on this stage today. All right, so now that we've gone over these bios, are you guys ready?
I think I'm ready. You guys ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Let's do it. Yeah. We gotta say we stay ready so we don't gotta get ready.
That is true. You do. I witnessed this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and kick this off with a question I think a lot of people want to know. Bosco, when you were in prison, did you think that you would be where you are now?
Nah, I don't think any of us think that we would be where we are right now. And that's the thing about life, is that's why you always got to keep going forward, because you never know what tomorrow brings. Like, when I was in prison, I thought I was going to stay in there. Well, deep down inside, I knew that I would get out. I knew that I would find a way out. But on the surface, I moved this as if I would not get out, as if I would stay in there. But no, I never imagined that I would get out, get full custody of my daughter, produce a movie, and doing all the things that I'm doing now. So it's just it's proof that, like, when you're going through a struggle, that it's really preparing you for your purpose. So now when I go through hard times, I just like, okay, this is part of the purpose. This is part of the journey. But I don't think any one of us thought we would be here doing what we're doing now.
I'll open this one up to all of you. When you were incarcerated, think back to those moments where you're in a prison cell, you're alone, and you're thinking about the future and thinking about what your biggest concern is when that time comes where they say it's time for you to go home, you get to leave today. What does that day look like for you when you're incarcerated in your mind?
We all dream of that day, though. I think every day we dream of it, but just the reality of it actually happening, we don't really feel that until the time comes. I think
when it comes, speaking from somebody that with a life sentence where it said deceased, like I'm not supposed to talk to you, I'm not supposed to be here. It says deceased is your release date. And when you look at that and you can't live it, so you gotta block that out and have the vision of what we're all doing today and have purpose on what is that you want to do with your life sentence and what you want to do to overturn it. So every day I would say I will wake up to a newspaper clipping that said, man sentenced to life for 40 tons of marijuana. And I said, one day I'm going to use that same thing against them to build a brand that's worldwide.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, the release date doesn't seem real until, even when they call your name, you pack out, you ready to go, you're like, man, they're going to keep me in here for some reason. They're going to find a reason to keep me in here. It doesn't seem real. Even when you leave, you're like, man, they might come get me now. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing when you leave those gates and you know, get to be in the arms of your loved ones, you know?
For me, it was freedom felt like a trying to recall a dream, like in the middle of a day. You know how like you remembered, you dreamt about something, but like it's like kind of real fuzzy, like, and that's how it was. Like after years and years of being in prison, like I had this picture of freedom in my head, but it wasn't like it wasn't real freedom. Like it was like what I was envisioning back in like 2006 and 2004. And we were in like 2020 something by that time. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it was like, damn, like I envisioned this thing of being out and being in freedom and being with my daughter and being a dad again and all those things. But like, it didn't seem real, man. Like all of us had just echoed. Like it was like I was recalling a dream that wasn't a real situation. And when freedom is removed from you for that long, that's what happens. So, yeah, man, the release date it doesn't seem real until you literally walk out of the gate.
What would you say is the biggest concern when you're sitting in prison thinking about leaving? What are you most worried about when you're coming out?
Getting into some more shit is number one, because when you're under, you know, like the scrutiny and being in a maximum security prisons like we were at, you are going to have to go no matter if it's your last day or if you're on your way to the thing. If it's something going on, they want you to be a part of it. You know, so it's a certain rules and regulations that just go on in there, and you are not safe until you're on the other side of that wall.
That sums it up. Just making it out.
Yeah. Number one thought, get out.
Yeah, get out, because like what Corvain, like just to dovetail on that, is when something happens in prison and your homies are involved in it, you don't get to say, hey, I'm getting out next month, I don't want to get involved. That's just not the way it works, right? So you have to, like, you're praying that nothing pops off or nothing goes wrong until literally, like we said, like, until you're walking out the gate. Then you kind of, like, exhale and be like, okay, I made it. I'm out.
Because another thing people need to understand, that because you see everybody's with their family now, but when you live in there, that's your family. Yeah. This is your brother. This is your uncle. This is the big homie, or this is whoever this person is. You don't spend this much time with people on the street. If you're on lockdown for 3 months, there's nobody in your life that you, unless you were in COVID with them, that you actually spent 24 hours a day with in a very tight, small space. So these are your family, and these are the people that you're going to protect at all costs.
So all of you guys are entrepreneurs in your own right. A couple of you, 3 of you are in the cannabis lane specifically, but you're all entrepreneurs. Why don't you guys give us a little bit of insight into what do you think the top 2 or 3 things have been your keys to success to this point, post-prison?
I think some of the top 3 things is prison taught me how to go without. And also prison taught me how to lose everything. And I think when you're in business, you have to learn how to allocate your funds so that you don't overexhaust yourself. You have to learn how to function at a bare minimum, because you're going to need that capital someday for something, or you may not even have the capital. Then also, if you really want to grow, you have to be willing to take the risk. And I think in prison taught me, like, once you lose your life, you lose your freedom, you lose everything you have, it's a lot easier for you to take a chance. And I think to be successful in business, you have to be willing to take the chance and possibly lose everything that you invest in order for it to be great.
Absolutely. How about you, Corbin?
I think that was a great point, too. I liked it, that point. Because it's like, you got to think of being stripped from everything that you own. You're being stripped all the way down, everything you own. Now, everybody has the same clothes on. This person doesn't have on this. Everybody has on the same thing, so everybody is judged the same way because we all got a khaki suit. We all can go to 320 store, so it's no more special people, right? So when you are living under these type of circumstances, it gives you like a PhD in trying to read people. You have to, sometimes you got to read the room and know when it's about to go down. So you're just gonna have a PhD in just judging everything straight head on, because you're judging every single person by who they really are, not how they are perceived.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, for me, going in and you got to get adjusted to all the politics in there. You know, it's a little different than being a boss and having money on the streets than going into there. You know, for me, coming from Miami, coming ocean high rise to sleeping on a bunk, you know what I mean? Metal bunk that wasn't comfortable. Yeah, it was way different. Then you realize,
You're making my back hurt.
yeah, your back, your neck, you know, you're waking up and you still think you're at home, you know what I mean? It takes time to adjust to that. But that's why now coming to the real world with, you know, when I went in, Instagram wasn't even a thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure most of us, we didn't know. Yeah. Then you come home, you got Instagram, social media. Nobody knows you or what you're doing until you post on social media. So we had to relearn that, and that's a key thing, a key factor for the business. That all of us know as soon as we post something, we can lose our whole account that we spent a year building, and they take it away like that, and now your business is screwed, you know what I mean? But the main thing I learned was the only thing you can control in this world is your own emotions. Yes. So I learned that in prison, because in prison, you know, you could fight every day. Something can go down every day. Somebody gets on your nerves, something happens, you know what I mean? But controlling your own emotions in life and in business, it goes hand in hand, man. Because if you get mad at something, your business messed up, you lose money. Like Bosco said, you got to learn how to allocate the funds through proper channels to bring back an ROI to the business. And now we got to pay taxes. In the streets, we didn't have to do that. You know, it's all profit. Let's go. Let's run it up. You know, now that's why building the brand coming out, the money is the freedom. That's why I call my money brand, because money is freedom. A lot of people are scared to say, you know, they're in the cannabis business to make money. Even though we love this plant, we love the culture, but at the end of the day, we still have mouths to feed at home and bills to pay. So we got to stay focused on the business side, paying taxes and making money for the business, you know.
Everybody loves money.
Right. Everyone loves money.
All right.
For me, it was the biggest asset that I gained from being in prison and was able to actually translate that into business is exactly what the three of these gentlemen just said, and mine will be super quick, is patience and perseverance. Boom, boom. Those are the two things in business. If you have both of those things, you will go a long way. Because you're able to go over all these hiccups, all these bumps, all these setbacks, all these things that people normally aren't going to be able to come back from. They can't pivot back from. Those things, like when you've been through what we've been through and been to the places that we've been, those pivots are easy. And that's not a bragging point. Those were earned by a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but those pivots are easy now.
Definitely. Thank you, guys. So you all been legacy operators. You were here before the famous Prop 64 in California, slinging flower, knowing where it's grown, moving packs. The market's shifted. You come out of prison. You decide to come back to this space. And what has been the most unexpected challenge you faced so far? I'm going to toss this one to Luke first.
Damn, I get the biggest challenge since you've been out question?
Yeah.
Woo. Being present as a dad. Really, because that's the most important thing to me. That's the most important thing to me. When I was in prison and the whole thing, like, that I wanted to, like, when I got out, it wasn't about making money. It wasn't about owning businesses or being an author or having a Joint Forces podcast or any of those things. I just wanted to be a dad. For real. So, yeah, it's that easy, that simple.
I got a couple of them, but number one was the same thing, being a dad. I got out, my daughter was 15. I had never been in her life. She was born when I was in prison, and I left a maximum security place where it's just high testosterone, violence, a place where you're not supposed to show any tender emotions, to where if somebody's having a bad day, you tell them to deal with that shit. But I got out full custody of my daughter, and you can't be that way with the teenage girl.
No, you can't.
Nah, so that was like a big challenge, just having to learn how to be patient with her, how to empathize, and how to just set my pride and my way of thinking aside to think the way that she thinks.
Yes.
Because I can go without. I can deal with anything. Like, my mind is strong as fuck. But you can't say the same for a 15-year-old girl. Like, you know
Not
what
even
I'm saying?
close.
And you can't reject it.
Yeah.
Because rejecting it is like a form of abandonment,
Yes.
something that can cause more trauma. So just getting out, like immediate release from a maximum security and being released to a house with the 15-year-old girl was the biggest challenge for me. And then just raising the money to put a film together, that was a big challenge too. Just running around asking people for $2.5 million, that was extremely challenging, but
Yeah, you come out of prison and you're asking people to give you big checks.
Yeah, and I think those two things were the most challenging things for me getting out of prison. But it came through. So, again, like...
It was a great
sometimes
film, by the way.
Yeah,
Did you guys see it was one of the top films
Bosco.
on Peacock?
I love it. I love that
Go
film.
see Bosco on NBC if you haven't seen it yet. You absolutely have
Peacock.
to. It's
Number one.
outstanding. All right. CV.
I'm thinking the most challenging thing has to be being when you're a girl's dad, it's a whole different ball game. Like you said, it's a pivot. With me coming home, getting to see my daughter graduate, getting to see her, all the promising her that I'm gonna give her a prom and buy her a car and all that. That was just the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. And it was just I made her dream come true. Sent her off to college, and then boom, lupus hits, and then my daughter gets diagnosed with lupus, and I've been haven't really been speaking on it, but it's really been a thing that I've had to take in, and she's at the hospital now, and last year she was here with me, but she was in the car, and people didn't even know that I was going back forth into the car and checking on her, and it's been a very, very thing that I keep to myself. It's not nothing that's on Instagram or in the world or anything like that, but it's a personal thing that I've been dealing with. And I got my other daughter turning 15, and I wanted to kick it with her, and she told me that I'm about to be 16. I don't kick it with my dad on the weekends. I kick it with my friends.
But why not?
So it just kind of hurt me. It was not cool to be seen with your dad, and I thought that was the coolest thing when she was younger.
You're like, you know how cool I am, girl?
Yeah, it's like she'd say when I come up to the school, I embarrass her. You know what I mean? So it's just, dealing with the transition of her turning 16 and my daughter's health has to be, and then trying to keep all this stuff together. And like Magic said, learning, we just went from flipping the pack where you buy it for $5 and sell it for $10 and you get the whole $5 back, and now you spend $100,000 and you get $10,000 profit. It's like $90,000. It's just ridiculous, the tax and the compliance that goes on in the business on the other side. So I have to learn both of those and learn how to deal with I can't wear certain things on me. I learned that by never wearing a life sentence. I'm dealing with my daughter. I'm dealing with the company problems. I'm dealing with the attack of this. I'm dealing with the attack of that. You learn how to, when we say at 40 tons, just because you carry well doesn't mean it's not heavy. That is what I really, really, really stand on, because I'm still dealing with all that and I'm still here.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, for me, the challenge of, like everyone said, coming home, being a dad, it's like you're relearning, how to interact with your children. For me, my son, and then having income stripped away from you is like, okay, how am I going to provide for the family now? You got to go out, find a new legit hustle, which is harder than it sounds. When you've been in the streets your whole life, doing it since a kid, you're like, man, what am I going to do? So you got to figure out, you got to do a lot of research. Like in prison, all we do is read, research, okay, what we're going to do when we get out, you know what I mean? And then you got to implement those strategies in order to provide for the family. So, yeah, that was my biggest challenge, really, because my son was still old. He wasn't a teenager or anything. He was still like 4.5, 5 years old. So I knew I still had time, even though, schooling and all that's expensive. So many bills come and you just get overwhelmed, because for me, I had to get rid of real estate portfolio I had, other businesses I had that would provide an income. Luckily, I had saved money, and that was providing for the fam. But that's the biggest challenge for me, was coming back being a dad, then providing for the family. And then my mother, has lupus also. So I've been dealing with that for a while. So providing for her in hospitals, things like that, it adds up, So you got pressure on your back. Like, okay, how am I going to provide for the fam and pay these bills, So it's big challenges to overcome. As many challenges that we face every day that not even being said. But, yeah, those are some of the big ones.
So as legacy operators in the industry, you had your game before, you went to prison, you come out. The landscape looks very different now, right? We have taxation, we've got metric, we've got every kind of license type underneath the sun. And obviously, there's been a major shift in perception around this plant, right? Culturally. So for you guys coming back out and entering this space as entrepreneurs, what from your legacy days has really helped accelerate your success as an operator now?
It's a good question. I would say it's kind of like the same rules. It's kind of like, by us being based in California, it's still in the other states. I think it's to play. It's like the same way it was to play when you were sending your box off, or when you were hustling. You still had to go to the other state to get to the money. So I just think both states colliding, and us being a California-based brand and going to the other states, coming with the advantage of having to deal with being oversaturated first and having the most stores, and having to deal with how many stores, I don't know, I think it's like 1,600, and you get to see other states get to there before they get to there. And if you can dive in before they get oversaturated and deal with our problems, get to that state first, try to get to all the new markets first when they blossom, because there's going to be a gold rush in every market. And that's why it's like New York with Happy Monkey. It's just like, you got to understand that it's a big market out there in New York. It's the biggest city in the world. So just tap in different markets.
The reason that legacy operators are going to be more successful in any space, really, not just cannabis, any space, is because the plant has always been cyclical. The game has always been cyclical. So what I mean by that, we're used to dealing with drought seasons and floods and things like that make prices go up and down and make it to where you have to pivot and make these moves. We've been doing that, from the day one when a sack was given to us, either by your big homie or whoever it was, right? You had to learn how the market was going to pivot, and that's at a really, really young age. We're learning this in our teens, and we're seeing people do it in front of us, right? So I would say just learning how to pivot, learning how to move, not giving up, all those things, but really just being knowing that the game is so cyclical. It's so up and down. It goes like this. We don't get caught up in the lows. We don't get low in the lows, and we don't get real super high in the highs. We know that this game is all about longevity. And it doesn't matter if you're getting packs right now and you're scoring packs right now, or you're the hot flash in the pan right now. Where are you going to be at tomorrow? Where are you going to be at next year? Where are you going to be at 5 years from now? Those are the important things, right? We had to make those decisions really early on, so we can now translate those skills into the, I don't want to say corporate world, but the legal market, the recreational market, the corporate world, right? And we up here doing it. We're navigating this stuff, and we're doing it in a way that's showing people, hey, you can do 15 years. You can have a life sentence. You can have decades in prison. You can get knocked and have everything taken from you. And you can come back and be successful, because it's about all those things that you already have in you. All that grit, all that perseverance, all of those things.
I think...
Amen.
Yes, I haven't got into the cannabis market and been a little reluctant to do so, but just from my observation, I think it's going to become really saturated, and there's always going to be a black market. regardless. Like, if you go to where I'm from, nobody buys marijuana out of a dispensary, period.
But I don't see people buying Coronas out of a trunk of a car either. So I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing is, in order, you have to be able to draw them people into the stores, the people who are in the black market. And I think that's where the epitome of cool becomes a major factor with the brand. You have to have a brand, and the person behind that brand has to have a story, and a story that attracts and appeals to those people in the black market, and also appeal to the old lady who doesn't know which 100,000 brands to pick from, but more so wants to spend her money to where it's going toward a cause. So I think there has to be a combination of appeal to the black market, the streets, so to speak, to draw them into purchasing and spending their money inside of the industry, and also to the mom and pops lady, the soccer mom, to where she feels like she wants to contribute to a cause. And I think those two things are what's going to make a brand really successful. And I think a lot of people are missing that mark right now. Yep. It's either one or the other.
Absolutely.
Right.
Magics.
Yeah, amen. So yeah, coming from the legacy market, basically the streets, and transitioning to the legal side, we learned how in the streets, like everyone knows, everyone sold a little weed, did a little something, right? So you learn how to manage those funds for the re-up. It's basically the same thing in the legal market, except you have to pay bills. You got light bills, you got your lease, you got garbage you got to pay for in California, which is crazy to me, coming from Miami, but you learn how to manage funds, and you're able to get more product if you're a smart entrepreneur. Okay, come from the street, okay, I have money for 10 packs, boom. Now let me save this money up, I'm going to get 12, I'm going to get 15 the next time, and keep building and building. It's the same concept in the legal market. So I think that's one of the main factors for me, and I'm sure all the gentlemen here, is transitioning to not only California, but jumping state to state and country to country now. Because look, everybody just came back from Cannabis, so now we can take our same genetics. So I like to use the metaphors. Where is Champagne from? Champagne, France, right? That's the only place you can get the real deal Holyfield, right? Where is tequila from? The real agave in Jalisco, Mexico. That's the only real tequila. Where's the best weed in the world?
Cali.
California. So now we're growing this best weed in the world. They want it everywhere. So if you have that one genetic that you're sitting on, pop that seed and try to spread it out everywhere, because they want it. Trust me, I get calls all the time in DMs. They want the genetics. They want that Cali Zaza. You know what I mean? They want the real deal. So yeah, it's a big world, big market, man. But I think when the corporate people, I think they're trying to dwindle it down. Like, I see it going to like cigarette packs, and they're gonna have dollar weed in there. They just want to grow as much as they can. They want to oversaturate it with any weed. Okay, we invested in these guys right here. Well, what's our return? Oh, you guys are not performing correctly. All right, well, grow more weed, sell it for cheaper. And that's going to dwindle down the market. But guys like us with our own brands, we're going to be able to say, okay, let's keep the market value higher and get that $1,500, $1,600 a pack for the farmers out here that are really putting in, blood, sweat, and tears for this, man. And I think that's a very important factor across the world for the cannabis market.
Yeah, stand on quality. All the farmers out here in California, stand on your quality. I want to just echo that, dog, for real.
100%. No one wants bad weed, right? And definitely don't want too much of it.
Especially coming from Cali.
Right. And if you're really good at what you do, you should be paid for it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, that's what sets apart the other people. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, listen, there's a lot changing in the legal landscape around cannabis, and there's a lot of conversation happening on the federal level. Our nation just recently had an exchange of power. We have a new president in office. But when Biden left, there was a whole lot of push by members of our industry to, really call for individuals to be released from prison, right? And there was a really long runway of hype that came out of the Democratic Party saying that they were going to release people, that they were going to decriminalize or reclassify cannabis. But I think as an industry, it's really important for all of us as professionals to understand what really happened in the final days of Biden's presidency as far as his clemency list was concerned. And if you guys could help educate our audience today on what actually took place as it pertains to members who are incarcerated for nonviolent cannabis offenses. And Luke or Quante, either one of you want to start this one?
I actually haven't really been too much in the loop. I try to stay away from the political aspect because, to me, everybody has their own personal agenda.
Right.
But I do appreciate seeing 2,500 people get apart, and that was something that never happened before.
Yep.
And I think everybody in prison for cannabis should have been part of that. I just know that a lot of my good friends who've been in there for 20, 30 years who thought they was never coming home were granted release, and I was happy about that. Yes. I don't know, so I can't tell you everything. Luke probably has a little bit more information on it, but...
First, I want to just say, let's pause right here and say, free Parker Coleman.
Yes.
Free Jose
Hell yeah.
Valero.
Yes.
Yeah.
Free Edwin Rubiz.
Yes.
And free every man and woman who's still
Muhammad
incarcerated
Tahir,
for
Bubba
cannabis.
Johnson.
Pedro,
Keep going.
Raphael,
Yes.
Kevin Allen.
Yes. I want to echo what Quante said. 2,500 people coming home for any reason is beautiful, right? We've all felt what it feels like to come home, and I want everybody to experience that. But we still have so many people that are in prison that need to come home. This fight does not go from Democrat to Republican or left to right. It goes through administrations. I sat in prison through 4 different presidents. It don't matter. None of that matters. And to us, like, I was a single issue voter. Freedom. That's it. That's all I wanted. I'm telling my family, vote for whoever's going to get me out. Straight up.
Yeah.
But so what I want to say is what happened, and some of it was great, some of it was a miss, I think. But the people that are still in there now, we need to get them out. We need to stop being able to yell free Parker Coleman. Parker Coleman should be sitting on the stage with us right now.
Amen. Amen. That was in the shoe right now.
Right. What happened, but what needs to happen is that.
Absolutely. I think where I was going with this was a little bit more like looking for education on. There was a long list of people, but none of those people, to my understanding, were their primary charge was cannabis. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, the clemency included a lot of people of what's called, like, I'll get geeky with you guys. It's called a 851. Like, if people had career criminal offenses and they were correcting some of the outdated statutes that they had or statutes that have already been corrected, right? So most of the people, the majority of the people who are incarcerated or who got the clemency had one of those issues going on, and then also happened to have cannabis. So there was a handful of cannabis prisoners that were also included in that, but it wasn't specific to cannabis. So the administration never specifically did anything to cannabis, and if you actually hold them to what they did do, they actually denied people's clemency petitions, like Edwin Rubiz. So, but again, it's not about the past. It's not about what they did, even though I know what you're saying for clarification, just so everybody understands what really happened. But it's about the future. It's about getting the people home to their families and getting people home to their communities, where they can also contribute like the 4 of us are to their communities.
And be taxpayers. And another thing that we want to address is how I got the life sentence, because you can still get it today. So it's when he spoke on enhancements, I got caught with 1 pound of weed. Then I got caught with a bottle of cough syrup. Those are 2 drug felonies. Then it's the 40 tons conspiracy. So you have people, that might sell pills, or they just think that they only got caught with the pills, or they only got caught with the pound. No, those are 2 priors, and 3 of those are 3 strikes out in the feds today.
Yeah, and that's my lane there. Like, law is my thing, and I think that one of the thing that needs to happen is the Congress needs to address a lot of this, because a lot of times, like going back to what Luke was saying, it seems like a lot of the people who got pardoned by Biden, they had prior offenses, 851 enhancements, and things that they probably wouldn't be getting today. And so a lot of them were pushed in the front. And perhaps you have a lot of people in prison for cannabis who don't have those. And to be honest with you, when you look at it from someone who's been in the system, you really don't have too many people in prison for cannabis that don't have those type of enhancements. Because in order for you to get such a long period of time, most of the time there's some type of enhancement, like he had 2 prior convictions or 1 prior conviction that enhance your sentence. It's hard to find somebody in federal prison who just has 30, 40, 50, 60 years who doesn't have a prior offense. And so I think a lot of that plays a role into it. But what needs to happen is Congress needs to get rid of these outdated statutes. Yes. And for one, any prior cannabis offense should not be used to enhance any sentence. And I think that right there is what's keeping a lot of people in prison. So it really falls on Congress' plate, but a lot of people just don't address it. A lot of people think that everything goes on the president. Right. But we need to be addressing Congress, too, the people that we're electing for to represent our state senates and represent House of Representatives. We need to scream on them for them to go back, and there needs to be a Second Step Act.
Yes.
The First Step Act was not good enough. It was not enough. Cannabis should have been in that act.
Yes.
Absolutely. So you guys, when we began putting this panel together, one of the things that resonated unanimously across all of you was the hope that somehow people who are currently incarcerated would be able to hear about or receive a message from us on this particular day and this particular moment. We have a lot of press and media here at Hall of Flowers today, a lot of recordings going on right now. I think this is your opportunity to speak to those folks who are currently incarcerated, to give a message, a blessing, or whatever. And I wanted to give each of you the opportunity to do that. So, Magix, for the folks who are going to potentially read about or hear about our discussion here today, what's your message to them?
Well, my message would be to learn some law. Like Bosco said, that's a major key factor to stay on top of the lawyers in your family. Put in, different statutes to help you get out early. Get your knowledge up. Knowledge is power. Read as much as you can. Stay on top of your game so when you do come home or you have hopes of ever coming home, you can stay on top of that. Like Corvain came home, unexpectedly. I'm sure he wasn't expecting that, but he got blessed. And to everybody in there, hold your head up, man, and stay prayed up and get your knowledge so you can come home and see daylight again and be out here on the stage with us.
Corvain?
I really live by walk by faith and not by sight is what I really, really, really stand on. And that's with every little aspect in life. So every day, you're going to have to wake up in there and you're going to see the same thing over and over and over and over again. So you have to have a schedule. I used to get up and trade stocks in the morning, right? So I learned the stock market. You have to use prison damn near like it's school. You have to, you didn't have 15 to 20 hours free for someone to take care of and put a roof over your head and to you get 3 meals a day. You're not getting 3 meals a day on the street. You're not getting anything on the street. When I got out, I immediately had to come back home to bills, immediately had to come home to take care of my family, and immediately had to get things going. So when you are getting ready for this transition back into the thing, you're going to have to be preparing every day. Every day I said I was going home. There was not one day that I didn't think that I was going home. And it just came into existence. And now that God gave me a second chance at life, I have to use my purpose. And we live at 40 tons. It's that walk by faith, not by sight. And just because you carry it well does not mean it's not heavy. So just walking your purpose.
That's it. You gotta, in prison, you have to wake up every day as if it's your last day in there. You can't be looking at 5, 10 years, say, okay, I have 20, 30 years. How am I going to do it? You have to do it one day at a time. You have to look at it like a school. You have to look at it as a place for you to work on yourself. And you look at it as, okay, today is today for me. It's my time. That's what it is. It's time. It's time for you. It's time for you to get rid of bad habits, create new habits, better habits. So every day is a work on that progress, and stay in the law books. Don't wait for a president. I didn't wait for the president. I didn't believe in the president. I stayed in the law books and I taught myself the law, and I found loopholes. There's always a loophole. So you just have to stay on top of the law, stay every day working out, mentally protect your sanity, and tell yourself you're going to be out here, because you will, and just be prepared for it and do something every day to prepare for that day when it comes.
Yes.
And when you get shot down, don't give up.
Yes.
Like we've all been denied before. We've been denied by every
Repeatedly.
period. So it's like, free Parker Coleman, free the guys, but never give up.
Man, straight up, I want to echo that. Never give up. One of the main things that I want to communicate and just say to the men and women that are still incarcerated is the darkest point of the night is right before dawn. I know things get heavy. I know it feels like you're not going to get out and everybody's forgotten about you and all of those things. But look at the 4 people on this stage right now. We are a testament to what you can be when you persevere and you keep your head in them law books and you keep on never accepting the word no, and you don't care if you get denied 50 times because you're putting in a motion 51 times. And you can be up here with us. The next Hall of Flowers, 2026 Hall of Flowers, you could be in this stage holding a mic in your hand. Let's go.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. All right, guys, one more question for you, and then we're going to wrap up. So this is one of the hottest topics. Social justice reform in the cannabis lane is probably the hottest topic outside of our taxation. But it is the number one topic that the general public, I think, can really care about as it pertains to our industry. So many people wonder, how can I be impactful, right? Company owners are constantly asking, how can we help? What can we do? And so on that, question, what from your viewpoint, having served time, having come out, having become advocates for those who are still incarcerated, what is your strongest call to action for people who want to help change this landscape today?
Invest in the cool people. That's it. Really, I mean, if you want to get far in this industry, again, like as I said earlier, this is my perception. I'm not heavily involved, but I do see a day where it's very saturated. And the people, if you want to make money, you have to have that cool person or that cool brand to represent your company. And I think it's not going to be celebrity. I don't think celebrity power is going to sell cannabis. It's going to be somebody who has a story and who comes from the legacy market. You have to put your money behind them type of people. And I think that's the call to action, because you cover every area. Because when you have someone from that legacy market, when you have someone who's been to prison, someone who appeals to the black market, someone who also has the empathy or sympathy of the soccer mom who don't feel that this guy should have been sentenced to 15 years for selling medicinal marijuana. You know what I'm saying? Them people are going to be the ones who attract a mass majority of the consumers. And also, them are the same people who are out here fighting for social justice. So you're covering everything when you invest and you partner up with a person who's actually been through that.
Amen.
I love that. How about you, Corvain or Magix, either one?
I just say, he damn near said, I'm just going to say it again.
What's that call to action?
It's the call to action is just really, 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 everybody that I feel that had to serve, I don't care if you serve 10 minutes. It's not like the 10-minute guy and me with the life sentence. I don't think, I'm not bigger than the 10-minute guy. We all serve for this planet. It's just like serving for your country. It's the same thing. How you got to respect the veterans. You need to respect the people that have served for this time. This is a drug that they call a drug that they never had to promote. There's never a commercial. It's no weed commercial. How did it become $1 billion? It's no $1 billion industry that you can build today with not one sense of advertisement that ever started. Right. They just dropped it and it turned into $1 billion industry and made it to the stock market. That's because we stood out there and we sold that weed and we delivered your weed and we were DoorDash before Ease and we were this and we were that. And it was all in our music and it was all in our culture and it became big. So it's a call to action to put the guys that served in the front. The same way if this was the Army, you'll put the veterans in the front. Put us in the front.
Ooh, I like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, that's the call to action is, standing behind these brands instead of, buying more corporate brands, support legacy brands more. Go to the stores, make sure, hey, you guys have this legacy brand in here. I see these guys speaking on stage. Let's support these guys, those same farmers, those same distros, those same manufacturers. These guys come from this lifestyle also. Maybe some didn't get caught. Maybe some did. Some did time, some didn't, But at the end of the day, we're all legacy operators. And the more corporate comes in, it's going to take away from what we're doing. We won't ever be forgotten for doing it because we're doing things like this at Hall of Flowers on stages like this. And the more we can do this and show advocacy for, inmate to entrepreneurship like we're doing now, it's going to bring more eyes and more investors. And like Bosco said, invest. The face isn't going to be celebrities. We know you can pay a celeb $20,000, $30,000 right now. Oh, come and support my brand. They just want free weed. Oh, yeah, send me that weed, man. Oh, do me a post, man. Make a post. Oh, yeah, I got you. They're never going to do it. And that's why you invest in people like us to be the face and get behind the brands that we're building because we're going to be the future, and that's for sure, man.
Damn, all three of those are hella hard to come after. The hell? I'm just going to echo it, man. Support legacy operators. Support legacy operators, and not just in cannabis. Like, support us in anything that we're doing. If you make movies, come holler us at, give us an opportunity there. If you do books, if you do anything. What I mean by that is, like, it doesn't end at just cannabis or the cannabis industry. When you see these brands and people that have been through these struggles and we're fighting and we're gritty and we're ready to get it, like, support that. Give us those likes. Give us those shares. Give us those comments. Like, I'm serious. Like, for real. This ain't nothing. Like, we want that. We want that love because when we put it on the line, it feels good to say, hey, look, man, salute. Straight up.
Amen and that.
Yes, sir.
And I bet it makes everything that you've been through feel that much more worth it. So, you guys, thank you so much for being here today. I just want to say that there has been one word that's resonated in my mind this entire talk track, and that's authenticity. Each one of you has showed up in every capacity in the most authentic way as an entrepreneur, as a member of this community and an advocate for this plant. And I'm so thankful to share the stage with you today. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for being inspiration to those who are incarcerated and to business operators everywhere. We're so lucky to have you. And thank you to everybody in the audience today for coming. We really appreciate your support.
Our booth is right on the other side of this, so come over and come see us.
Yeah, we're right
on the other side, outside. Come
building.
vibe with us, man. Come support the game.
Yeah, let's go.
Thank you, everybody.
Gang. Yes, Hall of Flowers 2025, it's a wrap. And we had such a great show. Shout out to the Hall of Flowers staff, Rama, Mayo, the entire Iconoclast Speaking Series staff, everybody. You had such a great event. Shout out to my bros that showed up, Corvain, Quante, and Magix. It was such a cool business event that we had. So many connections. Can't wait till next year, 2026, Hall of Flowers. You know what it is.